It's the CalebDMTG Show. The CalebDMTG set review, part 5, the green cards. Yeah, hammering this out, and then golden colorless right after. Arachnoform, 1 in a green, enchantment or enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has reach, and is every creature type. Well, that's pretty sweet. Obviously just a limited card, right? But getting every creature type certainly matters in this set. 2 mana for +2/+2, if you have a nice aggressive deck, is already pretty solid. There's some Aura Matters cards too. Obviously, there's not going to be very many auras that are super high picks, and this one's just a common. Just a role player. Sometimes you can just murder folks though. Turn 1, 1 drop, turn 2 Arachnoform, turn 3 Arachnoform. Battle Mammoth. 3 green creature elephant, trample. Whenever a permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. You're not decking from this one. Foretell for 2 green, the 6/5. This card seems a lot worse than the 5 mana 6/6 that we already have. In standard. I'm trying to think of when I might want to actually play this. Obviously, I think it's just a limited bomb. Limited bomb / EDH card. That ability seems super good in EDH, right? You think Foretell's a nice mechanic? Foretell is a nice mechanic. But it's not, like, a mechanic for curving out with green beasties, I don't think. I think you just want to go, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, you don't want to... Or you want to skip the curve with mana acceleration. You know, green's good at that. I don't think green needs to, like, bank cards for later, you know? Blessing of Frost. 3 in a green snow sorcery. Distribute X/1/1 counters among any number of creatures you control. Where X is the number of snow spent to cast this spell, then draw a card for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. So this card's, like, obviously fine and limited, fine to good. Assuming you can get some snow lands in your deck. It's a little lackluster otherwise. Yeah, ideally you're buffing your 3X's up to 4X's to turn on the draw, right? The two abilities, the 2 things the card does, have some synergy with one another. Doesn't seem like a constructed card to me, though. It's like snow, so you're doing the snow build around, and it's rare, so you'd think like maybe this is constructed playable, but I think you need to have a few too many things go right. Like, once you have enough creatures in play that you're actually drawing cards off of Blessing of Frost, you're probably already winning, right? You have this big old army in play. Halo and Silverwold thinks the sub thinks the 28 months there. You love a Harmonize? Yeah. It's kind of a Harmonize. You remember the flashback card? It's like 3 mana, make a 3/3. And then you could flash it back for 4 mana to draw a card for each creature of power 3 or greater you had. I feel like that card is better than this one, and I feel like that card was okay. It was just very medium, and didn't like require a snow mana base. You wish it was like a mana less? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what it would take to get me excited about something like this. Maybe I'm just not the target audience.
Oh shit, what up?
Hey, Badagaboosh, thanks the sub, thanks the 49 months. Almost half a century. We're so close. We're so close to half a century. Blizzard Brawl. 1 green snow sorcery. Choose target creature you control. And target creature you don't control. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, the creatures you control get +1/+1 and get indestructible until end of turn. Then those creatures fight each other. Cool. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So prey upon's usually fine to good and limited. And so if you have the snow, then you just have like a way better prey upon here. The Indestructible is also useful for getting to attack with your boast creatures. Get those triggers. Hey, RG Tross, thanks to the sub, thanks to the 34 months. Thanks for everybody for showing up early, too. Real early on the stream. Simonwake, 5-String C, everyone, all you early crazies showing up here. Excited for the set review. Gives me life.
Oh shit.
The Untouched Marlin, thanks to the sub, thanks to the 32 months. First time follower, yeah, with the 32-month sub. Yes, Blizzard Brawl's good. If you were gonna play it in Constructed, it'd be like a sideboard card, right? Hard to compete with the current Pump X fight spell, that primal card. That's a pretty good prey upon. Did the stream end early last night? It did not. There's a lot of text on these cards. There's a lot of text on them. The Flip Gods themselves are like 2 novels, and then you have to wrap your brain around them on top of reading all that text. Boreal Outrider, 2 and a green, snow creature, elf warrior. Whenever you cast a creature spell, if snow of any of that spell's colors was spent to cast it, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem bad at all, huh? If you're doing the snow thing.
Shit, what up?
All your creatures getting anthemed. I mean, it's kind of a situational Grimgully, but it doesn't take the 2 colors of Grimgully. And Grimgully is totally fine. And there might be some counter matter cards that interact with it. Hey, Tired Eyes thinks of the sub, thinks of 11 months, and Ollie Smells Drazy thinks of the sub, thinks of the half a year there. Nuts and multiples. The Boreal Outrider. Yeah, I could see that. I could see multiples being really, really good. Having the snowlands to use it. Yeah. I mean, ideally, you're playing Boreal Outrider. Green's one of your main colors, and you have some snow-covered forests in your deck. That's the ideal situation, is that you just have like 4 or 5 snow-covered forests, and they just combine with this, and you just like anthem your things. Wouldn't work with colorless? Would not work with colorless, you're correct. Anyway. Broken Wings, 2 and a green, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Totally reasonable card. So there's like vehicles in this set, there's equipment, there's auras, and just like every limited format, there are certainly creatures with flying. One of these cards saw Constructed play very briefly when Consecrated Sphinx was heavily played in Standard. I think that's the last time, though. I think that's the last time I've seen a Broken Wings style card see Standard play. And even then, just, you know, little sideboard love. Elderleaf Mentor, 3 green, creature elf warrior. When it enters the battlefield, get a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. It's a 3/2. Yeah, doing the elf tribal thing. Solid little role player, solid little value. I would have liked to see it as a 3/3, because that would have reminded me of a little homage to Gnarlwood Oak. Is that what that hill giant is? Elven Bow, 1 green. Artifact equipment. When Elven Bow enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 1/1 elf warrior token, then attach the bow to it. It gets +1/+2 and has reach. So you're spending 3 mana for a 2/3 reach, but then you get to keep the equipment. I think this card's better than it looks. Little equipment buffs like that are always a little bit better than they look. Having this thing that makes your creature better, they can move around. Kind of reminds me of Pyromancer's Goggles, Elven Bow. It's got like the same buff there, and Pyromancer's Goggles was always better than it looked too. Easier to move around, but yeah, and flying certainly matters in this format, so the reach is a fine ability. I really like the lighting here in the artwork. The way that she's like shrouded in the shadows of the trees there,
shit, what up?
and so then the bow is lit up by the sun. Not very sneaky, but I don't know, if you're doing a piece for an object, it's like say a bow. It's like hard to make the art not look like just like a piece, an art piece that's an elvish archer. But this is very clear. Bow is the focus while still being like an action shot. Sweet. Really cleverly done. Hey, Glass, thanks to the sub, thanks to 8 months. You think it's a weird hold on the bowstring? Yeah, well, I mean they're not human hands, right? They're elvish hands. They hold their bows different. Don't question them. Elvish Warmaster, 1 in the green, creature elf warrior. Whenever one or more elves enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. 5 green elves you control get +2/+2 and gain death touch until end of turn. Well, this is a sweet one. If it triggered every time, then it'd be like kind of constructed playable. Maybe it'll still show up if there's like a standard elf deck. Hard to imagine you not wanting the built-in overrun. Hey, Defiled Child, thanks for the sub, thanks for sharing that Prime. What do y'all think? Do you think that there's gonna be an elf deck in Standard? There's an elf Planeswalker. There's an elf-centric Planeswalker. The last time we had an elf-centric Planeswalker, people played elves, whether it was good or not. And it was, like, kind of fine. Had some good matchups. You can't help but compare it to Allosaurus Rider. Yeah, Allosaurus Rider is busted. You can't compare anything to Allosaurus Rider. What a messed up card. If it triggered more than once, it would go infinite. Yeah, I mean, you would say non-token elf, right? You think people will play elves, but you don't think it'll be quite good enough? Yeah, that's usually how elves work out. That's as someone who enjoys playing tribal decks on occasion, that has been my experience with standard elves usually. Yeah, Allosaurus Shepherd, sorry, not Allosaurus Rider. All 2 cards with Allosaurus in the name. Is Allosaurus Shepherd the best green creature ever printed? Maybe. I mean, Deathray Shaman's fucking banned, so. or what is it, Hermit Druid? Is that the one where you like flip over your deck if it's all non-basics? Am I telling you that Shamans isn't good enough? Hey, Shamans was good enough for like longer than you would have thought, right? It was good for like half a year or something. I was like caching events. Surprisingly. How about Uro? Is Uro even a creature? Uro is like a growth spiral mixed with a planeswalker. I think you can kill most creatures. I think if you can't kill the creature, then it doesn't count anymore. Goyf is pretty good. I think Goyf was pretty good. Man, we are super off track. We are super off track. Let's move on to the next card. Esika, God of the Tree, 1 green. Legendary creature, God, Vigilance. Tap 1 mana of any color. Other legendary creatures you control have Vigilance and tap, add 1 mana of any color. That was a cool one. On the flip side, the Prismatic Bridge. All 5 colors in the mana cost. Legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Nice. Right? I mean, you have to wait until you're in your upkeep to get value, is the issue. You could play this with that a time walk that makes birds. It wouldn't be a hit, but you'd get extra prismatic bridge triggers. Yeah, this is really pricey to have to wait a turn to get your value. It's like a 5-mana Oath that doesn't have the restrictions. Is 5-mana Oath good enough? It's Planeswalkers. Omnath proved we can play this turn 4 easy. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, the front side helps you like cast the back side. Oops. And there's the great tree that we'll get to later that also helps enable 5-color nonsense. Like you can play this card in mono green pretty easily. It's just whether or not like playing this and then waiting a turn to trigger it and getting like questionable value, like getting a big question mark. You can build your deck so that you have hits though, just like Oath. This is an interesting one. This one's hard to rate. In Limited, you're mostly just getting a mana dork, which is still fine. Like mana dorks and fixing is good in Limited. You don't think it's impressive? Most of the gods I've read and I've been like, and I haven't like been able to think. They all seem powerful, but a lot of them seem like it's hard to find a home. You know, and if they find a home, they could do like really powerful things. But if they don't, then obviously they're just going to be bulk. Well, I don't know if bulk's the right term. They all seem like interesting for EDH. That might give them some price support. No idea. Wolf not really being a 5-color card. What? Wolf. Anyway, Essica's Chariot. 3 and a green, legendary artifact vehicle. When the chariot enters the battlefield, get 2/2/2 green cat creature tokens. Whenever the chariot attacks, create a token that's a copy of target creature or target token you control, and then it accrues for 4. So note that this doesn't just copy your cats, right? This also copies any token you control, which could be sweet, maybe cute, but maybe sweet. What's the best token you can get in Standard? Is it like whatever you're getting off of Orvar? Is this, you know, like copy something sweet with Orvar? Giant Shark. Oh yeah, that fucking works. Cycle your shark token. Use it to crew the chariot. Have the chariot copy the shark token. Now you have a shark token and some cats back on defense. Yeah, Shark's just a good card. I think most people reading Chariot have decided that, like, mid-range cards in this format get bricked kind of easy. Like, imagine playing this and your opponent just, like, plays a Lovestruck Beast, and you're like, oh, okay. Now you have a 4/4 and they have a 5/5. Now what do you do? Now what's the plan? And it's a legend, so, like, you can build your deck around copying sweet tokens, but then, like, you still don't want to draw multiple Chariots. Might limit it there. That said, it comes in with value, you know, brings its own value, cat value. And then it grows your army on attacking. It's no hero blade hold, but I kind of like it. I mean, I love the card. I love the art. I love that we have Freya's Chariot here. Yeah, obviously good and limited. Maybe if some sets rotate. Chariot will get a chance to shine. Alright, Finn the Fangbearer. 1 in the green, legendary creature, human warrior, Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. So you can actually just murder someone out of nowhere. Interesting stuff. Probably not seeing a ton of play, right? It doesn't strike me as a competitive card. Could randomly be quite good and limited. Right Shell. I wouldn't pick it highly though. Glittering Frost, 2 in a green, Snow Enchantment Aura. Enchanted Land is Snow. Whenever Enchanted Land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. Well, this is cool. This card makes it so much easier to have the right color of snow mana for something like Real Outrider. As well as just like having a lot more snow mana, right? Like you don't need a single snow land for this Glittering Frost to generate multiple snow mana. So all of your cards that have a payoff of like, well, I need a pile of snow mana for this to be amazing. Well, you've got a common that gives you multiple. It's not crazy to get like multiple of these and like some other snow lands and just have plenty. Yeah, really sweet card for this set. Possibly playable in Standard Snow too. Not Bold Recluse, 2 in a green, 4/2 reach. Sure. Yeah, 3 mana 4/2s never excite me too much because they just like end up trading with a 2-drop a lot of the time, unless you can, you know, pump them or apply pressure. But they're also not bad. They can also trade with your opponent's 4 or 5-drop, right? And reach, we talked about this a little bit with the bow, but reach is certainly a useful ability in this set. Grizzled Outrider. 5 mana for a 5/5. Elf Warrior. Yeah, sure. I like the flavor of the Bear Rider. Maybe me and Sir Barrington can do a cosplay. Guardian Gladewalker, 1 in the green for a 1/1 changeling. When enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. This one's sweet. Yeah, I love that they just added changeling to a few like limited role players. So like your tribal elements just have a way better chance of actually happening. And other decks at the table have a chance to just like have enough playables too. It's great. You're saying Elf Warrior so the bear doesn't get any credit in the creature type line? Well, the bear's the warrior, see? The elf's actually a pacifist. The elf is just pointing the bear where to go, that's all. Just there for looks. Horizon Seeker, 2 in a green. Creature, human warrior, boast. 1 in a green, search your library for a basic lane card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. This could be a way to tutor out snowlands, or just fixing in general. I like the landscape. It's almost like a Bob Ross style landscape going on. Oh, there's some extra suns here. It's hard to tell with the art this small what these yellow bits are. I don't know if there's like extra suns on Kaldheim. Yeah, 3 mana for a 3/2 is fine and limited, and then having the ability to draw a card, even if the card is basic land, and it's still fixing, still card advantage. Those are Sunflares. Oh, I gotcha. I gotcha. That makes sense. Icehide Troll. 2 and green, Snow Creature Troll Warrior. 2 snow, gets +2/+0 and gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. 2/3. So if your opponent plays a removal spell in the Icehide Troll, you can give it indestructible, but then it taps and it's not blocking for the turn, so they can still like get it out of the way to sneak in lethal potentially. Or if they want to prevent you from attacking, they can play this before your attackers. Take it out of commission for a turn. Play the removal spell then, you know? So that's why there's the tap it aspect. It's just to like make it a little bit less frustrating for someone trying to deal with the troll. Even if they can't actually kill the troll, they can still like deal with it for a turn. Obviously, you can still use the ability on attacker defense. You know, you just declare it as an attacker first and then pump. Yeah, super solid limited card. In Search of Greatness, green enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may cast a permanent spell from your hand with converted mana cost equal to 1 plus the highest converted mana cost among other permanents you control without paying its mana cost if you don't scry 1. Okay. So the worst thing this card's doing is scrying for 1 every turn, which, well, not ideal. It's not nothing. If you run this out on turn 2, then it counts itself. So then you can put a 3-drop into play. It has to be equal. It can't be like equal or less. That seems pretty restrictive. It doesn't count itself. Oh, among other permanents you control. See, this is why we do the set review. so chat can point out the one word that I missed in the wall of text. Pretty important word. You don't think it's modern broken? I don't think it's standard broken either. Or limited broken. I don't think this card's playable. I could be wrong. I was wrong about Wilderness Reclamation, right? Like sometimes cheating mana costs. Sometimes cheating mana is really, really good. The more situational you make stuff like that, though, the more difficult it seems to actually pull off consistently. And scrying 1 a turn is not worth a card. Green, scry 1 each turn. Yeah. But that's worthwhile in, like, Sealed. I play that in Draft pretty happily. Played in Limited, in Search of Greatness. But I don't think I would put this in a standard deck. Search for Azcanta needed to flip at some point, right? And then it was also like filling up your graveyard, and it was also in blue. It was you'd put in your control decks that wanted to like slow down the game for forever. I don't think there's green decks like that. Green decks want to curve out, kill the opponent. Yeah, in Limited, it kind of reminds me. So you remember, what was it? Darksteel Pendant. It was like a 2-mana indestructible. For 1 mana, you could like scry, and that's like all it did. That card was like better than it looked. You could usually play one of those in pretty much any deck and be pretty happy with it. That was a while ago. that was some years ago. But yeah, like I'm saying, 2 mana to scry 1 every turn. It's probably fine in Limited, but not a bomb. Use an Artifacts Matter set. Yeah, you didn't play it because you needed an artifact, though. You played it because you wanted to scry 1 every turn. Crystal Ball. Yeah, Crystal Ball scries 2. That's a little bit better. I played Crystal Ball in Legacy once. It was not OG Mirrodin. The Darksteel was all in the next set. Was Darksteel the name of the set? It was in that block though. Anyway, Jaspera Sentinel. 1 green creature elf rogue, reach. Tap an untapped creature you control. Add 1 mana of any color. Yeah, what's saving this card is that it's an elf. I've played some embarrassing mana dorks in my day. Including something that was almost exactly this card. But it was never very good. It was just something you played because you didn't have a better mana dork. That said, if you have elf synergies, it gets a lot better. It gets much, much better. Does it make it into the standard elf deck? It makes it into the standard elf deck if there aren't better ones. Or if you want, like, more ones. Yeah, Loam Dryad. Loam Dryad in elf form. There's a better chance of making it into the standard elf deck than, like, Horizon Seeker, which is not an elf. Well, or Grizzled Outrider, you know, some other limited trash card, just by nature of costing 1 mana. It could potentially make it in. Yorn, God of Winter, 2 and a green, legendary snow creature god. Whenever Yorn attacks, untap each snow permanent you control, 3/3. I saw some of the folks I follow were thirsting for Yorn on Twitter. The ferrets probably help, huh? Ferrets upping the sex appeal. This front side is very good. I don't know if y'all have ever played with Sword of Feast and Famine, but the untap aspect, just like basically giving you 2 uses all out of your mana every turn, it's quite strong. it's super good. And then you're giving your other snow creatures vigilance, right? It gives itself vigilance, doesn't it? Untap each snow permanent you control. That's itself too. You think potentially good enough for standard? Yeah. I mean, if you're playing snow in your... If you're playing green in your snow deck, then hell yeah. Maybe even just like play it in mono green. Mono green isn't like the best shell for the ability. I usually find Sword of Feast and Famine. I played a lot of Sword of Feast and Famine, and I usually find it plays best in like aggro control strategies. So you can develop with the mana on your turn and then disrupt the opponent on their turn while you're pressuring them. So that usually means like Sultai. Remember Cawblade, right? Like on your turn you could be like running out Hawks or playing a Gideon or something, and then you get to untap, hold up counters on their turn, hold up into the Royal or whatever. It was super good. Oh, well. I swear I forgot that the Rhyme Staff was blue-black when I was talking about Sultai business. I forgot what the card does, too. Legendary Snow Artifact. Tap. You may play target snow permanent card from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters the battlefield tapped. Well, that's just the best Sultai card ever, huh? Front side gives you half of a Sword of Feast and Famine, just like equipped to your 3/3 Vigilant Snow God. And then the other side is just like raw value from your graveyard, giving you half of a Scarab God, right? Yeah, I like this card a lot. It's hard to, every time there's like a very specific mechanic like snow, where you're gonna be limited as to what types of cards you put in your deck, it's hard to say whether the card will be good or not, right? Like Arcbound Ravager is either the best card in the format or completely unplayable depending on the artifacts surrounding it. But this card is quite good. I mentioned Darkbound Ravager for a reason. Not that they're doing anything remotely similar, but just in terms of card quality, I like this card a lot. A lot of value. A lot of value baked into this one. Even just playing lands from the graveyard. Yeah, I mean, the lands need to get to your graveyard somehow. But it is snow permanent. You can certainly bring back lands if you're self-milling. Yeah, where's the snow fetches? Get back with the Rhyme Staff. Can both sides be in play? You need 2 cards. You need to draw 2 Yorns to have both sides in play, but you certainly can, yeah. Arcbound Ravager is an extreme example. It is an extreme example, but that's like... It also illustrates my point the easiest, right? King Herald's Revenge, 2 green, sorcery. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1/+1 for each creature you control and gains trample. It must be blocked, if able. Yeah, so you're playing this one in your, like, Elf Swarm decks, ideally. In your tribal decks. Kill your opponent's best creature, maybe trample over for extra damage. It's sort of like half of an overrun, you know? In terms of like the raw power that it adds to the board. Because overrun's +2/+2, right? Or is it +3/+3? God, it's been so long since I've cast an overrun. My examples might be outdated. They haven't printed it in a while. Overrun's +3/+3. Okay. It's a third of an overrun. You just need 3 of these. You just staple 3 of these together, and then you're adding the same amount of power and toughness to the board. Overcome was +2/+2. Yeah, they made so many variants. Kind of fixing it. And I'll get mucked up in my head. Yeah, so I don't think this card's very good. That doesn't mean that it's unplayable and that it doesn't have shells where it becomes good. You know, if you're doing the elf dump your hand thing, then maybe it becomes strong. But usually when you have like too much situational stuff, it starts to become iffy. Obviously, the more aggressive you are, the better the card gets. Can become quite good in the right deck. But it's not something that you pick very, very early on. Because it's only good in certain decks. Golvari, God of Kinship. 2 green legendary creature, God. As long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, Golvari gets +4/+2 and has Vigilance. Well, that's pretty sweet. Could be a 4-mana 6/6. All you need is 2 other legendary creatures, and you're there. 1 in a green. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a legendary creature card from among them. Put it into your hand. Rest on the bottom of your library. Oh, neat. A couple of neat abilities in combination with one another. Hard for me to imagine playing this in Constructed. We've had Legendary Tribal be like vaguely playable. I know Holy Diva has been doing Legendary Matters stuff on occasion, making it look kind of good. What's the backside? The Ringheart Crest, 1 in the green, legendary artifact. As the Ringheart Crest enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Add green, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, or a legendary creature spell. Hey, Wackless, thanks for the sub, thanks for 37 months. So this backside doesn't seem bad if you are doing, like, legendary stuff or creature type matters stuff. If you're fine casting this side most of the time, just having like a mana rock for a specific tribe or for legendaries, then I could see playing this card. Because then like most of the time you're just like, yeah, here's my mana rock. Mana rocks are good, so long as the mana isn't dead, you know? As long as you don't have a lot of spells in your deck. And then sometimes you play Golvari, God of Kinship, Even then, it's a legendary artifact, so you don't want to put like 4 of these in your deck, but you get the idea. A good EDH spell? Yeah. I can see it. Yeah, legendary creature spell, so it doesn't tap for Planeswalkers. Anyway, Lichara Glade Warden, 3 green creature shapeshifter. 2 green exile a creature card from your graveyard. Put 2/1 counters on target creature. Activate this ability only anytime you can cast a sorcery. Changeling. This card's good. I mean, you have to get creatures in your graveyard, but if you're playing green-black, and it's got shapeshifter, so it fits the tribal themes of various decks. Hill Giants don't need much. Hill Giants don't need much to be playable. This one fits the bill. I'm not taking it over, like, quality removal. I'm taking it over. I mean, it's not filler, right? I think it's actively kind of good. Mammoth Growth, 2 green instant. Target creature gets +4/+4 until end of turn. Foretell for a green. Sure. I love that art. That art's fantastic. Thus, the long haul became a flat haul. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's just a limited pump spell, but seems like a solid one. Masked Vandal, 1 green creature shapeshifter, changeling. When Masked Vandal enters the battlefield, you may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, exile a target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. Yeah, it's 2 mana for a 1/3. This is sweet. You're sideboarding it, unless you care about shapeshifter, I think. It's the I've been saying over the set review that disenchant effects are good and main deckable ones are good. But you do need to have a creature in your graveyard. I guess that's easier for some decks than others. Yeah, potentially you just want this in every deck. I might be changing my mind. Reclamation Sage is a hell of a card, right? This card's going to get value more often than not in this format. Because there's equipment, because there's vehicles, because there's auras. It's sweet that it exiles too. There's a little bit of aura recursion in the format. And it's a common, and the creature type matters. Yeah, I wouldn't play this in my more controlling decks, I guess. But that's kind of narrow. The body also isn't very good for attacking, but it doesn't really need to be if you're just playing it to collect value. Old Growth Troll, green, creature troll warrior, trample. When Old Growth Troll dies, if there's a creature, return it to the battlefield. If it's an aura enchantment, what artifacts or enchantments need to be exiled in this format as opposed to destroyed? There's a white creature, there's a white aura that, like, rebuys another aura from your graveyard. There's a white creature that rebuys auras and enchantments. If your opponent's creature that has an aura on it dies, the aura goes to the graveyard, right? And then there's vehicles and equipment that could potentially get rebought somehow. Masked Vandal is the sort of card that you should keep in mind for Constructed. I think the you may exile a creature card from your graveyard part is going to be too restrictive. Like, it's too limited. The fact that you need to have a creature in your graveyard is probably not going to work. But there are going to be some decks that just always have creatures in the graveyard because they have some incidental self-mill, who knows. And those decks might want this card. Again, Reclamation Sage is a hell of a card, and this is better than that because it exiles the artifact or enchantment. It's better than destroying. You pop up Blightsteel Colossus with this thing. Anyway, Old Growth Troll. I haven't finished reading this yet. 3 green, creature troll warrior. Trample. When Old Growth Troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. If it's an aura enchantment with enchant forest you control. An enchanted forest has tap, add green, and 1 sack this land, get a tapped 4/4 green troll warrior creature token with trample. So it's a 3 mana 4/4 that comes back as a ramp spell. They can sack to become a 4/4. This card's sweet. That's good, right? It's awkward that they printed a whole lot of green 4/4s in this set. You know? So, like, all of these cards are competing with Lovestruck Beast. And they don't do that. They're not... I think this mana cost is more restrictive than Lovestruck Beast, and it gets bricked by Lovestruck Beast. Works with a cat carriage. Right, so you play the troll, you like trade with something, I guess. It has to die somehow. You enchant your forest, you get the carriage down, you start copying your 4/4 trolls. It doesn't excite me. Should have been a 5/4. I think so. I think it should have been a 5/4, I agree. I think it'd at least be like worth testing if it was a 5/4, but right now I don't think I would even test it in standard. But when Lovestruck Beast rotates out, yeah, it's weird how like all the throne cards have been gatekeepers for like every card that comes after. There was the Teferi test, there was the Oko test, then the Teferi test. Now there's the Lovestruck Beast test. Can this attack? No. Okay, next thing. Teferi wasn't enthroned though. Okay, whatever. Path to the World Tree, 1 green enchantment. When Path to the World Tree enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put in your hand, then shuffle your library. So it's fixing, but it's not acceleration. So the second ability needs to be useful for this card to be good. 2 white, blue, black, red, green. Sack Path to the World Tree. You gain 2 life and draw 2 cards. Target opponent loses 2 life. Path to the World Tree deals 2 damage up to 1 target creature. And you get a 2/2 green bear creature token. That's a lot of things. There are a lot of small things, but it's definitely a lot of things. This seems like a great sealed card, where you might want to be using the fixing to support a bunch of colors anyway. And then you can just crack this for value later on. Very tiny ultimatum, yeah. I mean, you get to draw 2 cards. You draw 2 cards off of this. I think that's the most exciting part. Like, you gain a little bit of life, you kill a shitter. Opponent loses a little bit of life, you get a 2/2. But drawing 2 cards is pretty real. You say all the small things on it matter less by turn 7. Sort of. I mean, life gain might still matter on turn 7, right? And killing like a small flyer could certainly still matter. Getting a chumper could be good. Seems like crazy payoff. Yeah. Yeah, I think this card's obviously good enough for sealed, and it's gonna be fine in your draft decks that want to look like sealed decks. I'm not sure if you want to invest in this in standard, if you actually want to play this in constructed. But I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be super surprised if there was something. If the 5-color deck wanted this, I guess I'd be a little surprised. The fact that the first half doesn't ramp you. There's got to be better things to be doing, right? For your 5-color payoffs in constructed. There's got to be. Alright, Ravenous Lindworm, 4 green, creature worm. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 4 life. 6/6. Yeah, sure. I'm a big fan of your stompers, like, coming down and stabilizing, right? Like, your green deck isn't necessarily removing your opponent's creatures. So if they're more low to the ground than you, they're more aggressive, they're getting in damage, they're hitting you with some flyer that you can't answer. Having your big chonker that you're ramping into, getting you some life back, give you a little bit of time, seems pretty good. It's still a life gain, it's just good and limited. There are decks that can play like a whole bunch of this card because it gains you some life back. Realm Walker, 2 green, creature shapeshifter. By a bunch, I mean like 3 in the right shell. All right, Realm Walker, 2 green, creature shapeshifter, changeling. As Realmwalker enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. It's a 2/3. Kobolds. Your time has come! These really are just like the best cards to be shuffling as I do this set review. This specific set review. You're saying if there are playable tribal decks, this will be played? Yeah, I could see throwing this in like elves, right? It's like a frenzy for the creature type. If your whole deck is just that. It even casts other Realmwalkers. So like Frenzy would get bricked when you'd hit another Frenzy. And this card doesn't have that issue. You have to snoop for every tribe. Yeah, Snoop's not legal in Standard, right? But it's in Standard Gobos. Relentless Rats. Dwarves. Get that dwarf tribal on. Vintage Kobolds. Probably not Vintage Kobolds. Maybe Legacy Zero Land Kobolds. Paradoxical Outcome Kobolds. Oh my. Oh my. Well, anyway. Yeah, this card's exciting. Not necessarily good, but exciting. Next card, Rootless U. 3 green, creature tree folk. When Rootless U dies, search your library for a creature card with power or toughness 6 or greater. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. 5/4. There's some value there. The downside is that like sometimes when you play your more expensive cards like this, you end up drawing the card that you want to tutor for anyway. It's not much of a downside though, right? Like you're still getting a 5-mana 5/4. Still fine. Fine chonker. Yeah, super solid. Alright, Roots of Wisdom. 1 in a green sorcery. Mill 3 cards and return a land card or elf card from your graveyard to your hand if you can't draw a card. So there's a little bit of selection going on, but it's 2 mana for a sorcery. You have to have like a really good elf you're looking for to want to play this, I think. It's no Elvish Visionary. It's no Coco. It's pretty rare and limited that you want to play a card that's just actually like 2 mana draw card. I guess there's self-mill. There's some cards that like care about having creatures in the graveyard, and this is a green way to turn those on. So that matters a little bit. Note that you don't have choice. You don't have a choice here, so you can't just like decide not to rebuy a land. If you mill a land, then you have to return a land, as opposed to like just choosing to draw the card instead. I think if you could choose to draw the card, that might be a little bit more interesting. So you could cycle it in the late game. In the late game, paying 2 mana to get a land back is not great. You said it seems like a bad regrowth. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe Elves in this format wants a bad regrowth, but I can't imagine, right? Can't imagine it being too exciting. Rune of Might, 1 in a green enchantment or a rune, enchant permanent. When Rune of Might enters the battlefield, draw a card. As long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets +1/+1 and has trample. As long as enchanted permanent is an equipment, it has equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. Yeah, trample is usually not worth a card, but this replacing itself makes it a lot better, and the +1/+1 is relevant. I mentioned this when we were doing the other colors, but you can tell how good the abilities are by whether or not Wizards also threw on like a power and toughness modifier. Like the runes that give no extra stats. They like just give Death Touch, you know, no extra power and toughness. It's because Death Touch is a really good limited ability. Trample is less so they have to juice it a little bit. They have to sweeten the pot, make it a little bit more exciting, make it a little bit more balanced. Yeah, you can enchant whatever you want if you just want to cycle it. Obviously, you'd rather put it on a equipment or a vehicle or a creature land or a creature. But you just need to hit land drops, right? If you're missing your third land drop, throw a root on a land, draw a card. Get your cantrip on. Alright, Saros Packmate, 3 and a green, creature wolf. When Packmate enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then foretell for 1 and a green. I like how the... That's just a vanilla creature. I like how the blue common foretell creature has... Oh no, it's not just a common, I'm sorry. I forgot about the draw card, or not just vanilla, I forgot about the draw card. I was gonna make a comment about how the blue creature has flying, and green like just gets a blank 3/3. Had to finish my caffeine here, give me a sec. But that's super wrong. Yeah, value's value. This card's good. They made Elvish Visionary a 3/3 and also a wolf. Maybe they thought Visionary would be too good in an elf tribal limited format. What's the caffeine I'm consuming? I drink Uptime energy drinks. I've got a subscription. I drink 1 a day. There's a lot of good 4-drops in the format. There is a lot of good 4-drops in the format. Maybe that means Foretell is better than it would normally be on these juicy 4s. Just being able to split it up. Uptime is good. I agree. I mean, I like them a lot. I don't get a crash. I always feel good when I'm drinking them. My only issue, since I've started drinking them consistently, is that they're almost a little too good at what they do. My sleep schedule has become worse. So maybe I should be like drinking less. Maybe I should drink like half of 1 a day instead of 1 a day or something. Or I just need like a sleeping drink to balance it out at the end of the night. Did I get the melatonin? I did. Yeah, I got the melatonin. I tried it. I didn't like it a whole lot. I only tried it one night. I'll probably try it again. It kind of felt the same thing as drinking like that Z-Quil. Like my sleep wasn't very good. It did help me get to sleep, but I didn't feel very rested the next day. Just get blackout drunk every single day to get to sleep. Yeah, I'm not doing that. You got CBD, melatonin gummies, and they work. Interesting. Yeah, the quality of sleep's definitely important. I agree, Painless Quill. Yeah, maybe Top Deck Island. It is legal. It is legal here in Madison now. But just Madison. in all of Wisconsin. Anyway. Next card. Sculptor of Winter. 1 in a green, snow creature elf rogue. Tap on tap target snowland 2/2. Yeah, we had this card in Modern Horizons. It was good. It's a good one. Nice little role player. If you get them late, you can see it as like a signal that snow is open. Because it's just good, you know, it's just good in your snow deck. Snakeskin Veil, green and instant. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, gains hexproof until end of turn. Also, is this Ranger's Guile? Oh, it's not Ranger's Guile. This is better Ranger's Guile. You get a 1/1 counter. Oh, this is so much better than Ranger's Guile. Ranger's Guile is a card that has been borderline good enough for constructed in some formats if you really want to protect something. It's like an embarrassing card to play in your constructed sideboard, but every once in a while you've wanted it. And then like better versions. Like blue had the +0/+3 hexproof. Then it main decked +2/+2 and hexproof. Saw a lot of play. Snakeskin Veil is just better. It's so much better. Could you play this in the Counters Matter decks? With a snake and like Pioneer or whatever? Maybe even Modern? Yeah, right? Does this fit into Infect? I think Infect would rather deal more damage. Like, with Infect, you're killing the opponent in, like, 2 turns, so there's not very many turns for the 1/1 counter to matter, versus, just giving them the buff that turn. I think Infect wants, like, their top deck pump spell to murder the opponent. I could be wrong. I haven't played a lot of Infect, I've just played against it a lot. But the Counters Matters decks, the deck's playing, like, Walking Ballista combo, you know? Yeah, Hardened Scales stuff. It seems good in a Hardened Scales deck. Does Historic Boggles play Blossoming Defense? I'm not sure. I think Historic Boggles is just blue-white, right? You're saying you'll see very little play in Veil of Summer formats? Well, you're playing it for the 1/1 counter on top of the hexproof. And Veil of Summer doesn't stop like Swords of Plowshares, right? Path to Exile, that sort of deal. Golden Doig, you do need to draft your Snowlands. There's gonna be 1 Snow Basic per pack. Alright, next pack. Spirit of the Elder Guard. 3 green, Snow Creature Bear Spirit. Spirit of the Elder Guard enters the battlefield, search your library for a Snowland card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. And Spirit gets +1/+0 for each other snow permanent you control. So I like this card. I don't know why the land doesn't go into play. You're spending 4 mana. 4 mana for a bear. It should just solemn the land into play, I think. Make it, like, vaguely interesting for the right constructed deck. Yeah, it should be a chonker. Know that the buff only happens for each other snow permanent you control. Nice and limited? Oh yeah, certainly nice and limited. You're tutoring for your more snow lands to buff itself and your other snow things. Struggle for Skimfire. 3 green sorcery. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Then that creature fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Foretell for a green. There's a lot of fighting going on in this set. This one is also a 1/1 counter. Okay, it's just Hunt. You know, it's just Hunt the 4 mana, put a 1/1 counter on your creature, fight something. But it has Foretell, so it's like much better Hunt. Hunt is a card. Hunt the Week is a card that is just good. You know, it's just a fine card. You're not gonna play a ton of them because it costs 4 mana, and 4 mana is a lot. But you're usually happy to play a few in your deck. Green doesn't have access to a lot of removal. This gives you that lasting value. It's better than it looks. It looks super clunky, but sometimes you just need to kill their best thing, right? Sometimes you need to answer a flyer or something. Putting Foretell on it seems super good. Obviously, you can't like take the card, add a new ability, and have it like magically get worse. It's gonna be better, but like the worst part about Hunt is that it costs 4 mana, and that's a really clunky mana cost. So being able to like play this on turn 2, and then turn 3 play a 3/3, and then on turn 4, you know, Foretell it. Basically play it as a prey upon, and then also do something else with your turn. Seems better than just like using your entire turn 4. Or even later. Good with Death Touch? Yeah, all fight cards are good with Death Touch. This gives you a better chance of having your Death Touch creature living, of course. I don't think this is an embarrassing first pick out of a weak pack. I'll take it over most random creatures. Most random filler. Toski, Bearer of Secrets, 3 green, legendary creature, Squirrel! The spell can't be countered. Indestructible. Toski, Bearer of Secrets attacks each combat if able. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I saw someone talking about this card, and they're like, it gets bricked by a 1/2, and I was like, I don't think you're playing Toski for the body. I think you're playing Toski for the whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I think ideally you play this with other creatures, right? The Edric effect. Get them cards. People fucking love squirrels. People love the shit out of squirrels. This is a sweet one. Indestructible means it lives through the new white sweeper. Basically an enchantment. Yeah, sort of. I mean, they do still need to dedicate a blocker to it. Good mutate target. Excellent mutate target. You think it seems okay and limited, but not a bomb? Yeah. It's like almost more interesting to build around it for constructed formats than to play it limited. I agree, it's not bad in limited. If you compare this in like blue-white or blue-green, or not blue-white, green-white or green-blue, where you have some evasive creatures. Like in limited, if you can put this with like some cheap flyers, right? Like a bunch of the 1-mana 1/2 hawks or whatever. Just draw a bunch of cards. Sounds awesome. Did I know that today is National Squirrel Appreciation Day? Yeah, fun fact, it wasn't actually National Squirrel Appreciation Day until I saw this card. And then the whole nation shifted. Just out of the raw appreciation I had for this squirrel. Yeah, Toski is certainly answerable. They can't counter it, they can't destroy it, but they can bounce it. They can give it -1/-1. They can kill the rest of your things, etc. I don't know. I think this card's good. I think it has enough text on it. It doesn't block Questing Beast. It doesn't do much blocking at all, right? Because it has to attack each turn if able. But ideally you're attacking anyway. Ideally you want to attack with your dooders. Get those cards. Get the cards! I think you'll find some kind of a home. Some kind of a something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like just an EDH thing. I know Magic players fucking love this ability though. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Magic players love that ability. If there's a home for this card, it's gonna find that home. It will not be missed. Cubable? Oh yeah, certainly cubable. Tyvar Kel, 2 green legendary Planeswalker Tyvar. Elves you control have tap, add black. Elves you control have tap, add black. +1, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target elf, untap it, gains Death Touch until end of turn. So you can grow your army. It's kind of nice. 0, get a 1/1 elf, warrior creature token. And then the -6 is you get an emblem of whenever you cast an elf spell, gains haste until end of turn, and you draw 2 cards. So this is a Planeswalker where I almost don't even want to uptick it, right? I almost just want to go like 0/0/0. Just keep ramping. Those it makes tap for mana, so it's pretty good. Kind of reminds me of the 5-mana Planeswalker that they put in Vintage Cube. That one is like a +2 to make a mana dork, which is obviously a lot better than Tyvar. But that doesn't mean that Tyvar is bad. You're saying the +1 also ramps? Oh, because it untaps an elf. Now that is interesting. to play Tyvar, you 0 it, get an elf. The next turn, you tap that elf for mana, +1, untap it, tap it again. So you're going from like 4 to 6 or 7. There's just more steps than like a Garruk untap would give you. Freyalise, yeah, Freyalise is what I was thinking of. You're saying this is a lot cheaper? I mean, this is 1 mana cheaper. The difference between a +2 and a +1 is pretty big. Or the +2 and the 0, right, to make the dork. You want a doubling season into Tyvar? Oh man. We got some EDH players. We got some EDH players in chat. Yeah, unless the board stalls, it's gonna be hard to get to 6 loyalty. Or like maybe your control opponent plays a sweeper, and so then you just like uptick for a few turns. I could see that happening. I think Tyvar's good. I mean, anytime that there's an elf-based Planeswalker, people are gonna play it, whether it's good or not. People are gonna play elves in standard. People are gonna try and do it. And elves will probably have a few good matchups, but overall be like a 45% deck. That's my prediction. That's how elves usually do, in standard anyway. I think the last time elves was actually actively good in standard was the Pro Tour that PV top 8'd with fairies, right? And there was like Imperious Perfect and stuff, and Ren's Run Vanquisher. There's the Thoughtseize green-black elf deck with Chameleon Colossus. Anyway, Vorinclex, Monstrous Raider, 4 green, legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. Trample Haste. If you put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, put twice as that many counters of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. Twice that many of each kind of twice that many of each of those kinds of counters. Great. Sure. So you double it. You double the counters. If an opponent would put 1 or more counters on a permanent or player, that player puts half of that many. Rounded down. So if they would only put 1 counter on, they get 0 counters. If they would put 2, they get 1.
Oh shit, what up?
Yeah, I mean, Trample and Haste are good abilities. I think you still have to care about counters in some way, shape, or form to want to play this card. It is a legend. I do like me some Trample Haste, though. Hey, Debate Bro, thanks for the sub. Thanks for the 67 months. 2 more months until our golden sub day. Heck yeah. Last Wish, thanks for the sub. Thanks for 17 months. Does it ruin sagas? Yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? Like, skips them around. They don't get their full value. Or no, they don't get sagas. Your sagas skip around and miss value. And your opponent just doesn't get to add saga counters. You don't miss steps with sagas. Oh, okay. So they would go through the steps, and you'd just be like triggering them all at once. You just turbo through them. Well, that seems quite good then. As long as you're not missing out on value. Your opponent's walkers don't get to uptick. They don't get to +1. Yeah, that's useful. It passes the standard power toughness test. Oh, it can attack into a 5/5. Walkers do get to uptick. They get to use the ability, but they don't gain the counter. That's still useful. I mean, that's still something. Do walkers enter the battlefield with double the loyalty? Maybe. How is doubling season worded? I know that's how doubling season works. I didn't know I'd have to fucking look up Doubling Season in this set review. If an effect would create one or more tokens, no, it's if an effect would put one or more counters on a permanent you control. This is the same ability. They both say if you would put one or more. So this card just lets you ult Tyvar immediately. In Standard. And Ugin, yeah. And like, you're probably... It's not crazy to want Vorn clicks in your fucking Ugin deck, right? You like drawing cards? Everyone likes drawing cards. I'm glad we spent a while on this card. I'm glad we spent a little bit of time. Did you lose your full tilt? Yeah, the subscriber badge goes around fully. When you're half tilted again. Here, give me a second. Yeah, I agree, Dynamp. So like Doubling Season into Planeswalkers is sweet. It's pretty meme-ish, but it's sweet. It's kind of like a pipe dream, right? It's kind of like a magical Christmas land type deal when you're trying to Doubling Season into a Planeswalker in a constructed format. This card is just good, you know, you have a 6-mana 6/6 Trample Haste. It's not an embarrassing card to play on its own. It's like potentially hindering the opponent with its passive. And then if you get to untap and like live the dream by playing an Ugin or a Tyvar or whatever the hell you want to ult. Or, you know, anything else that has counter synergies. Yeah, card's great. Maybe, God, it seems weird. But I might pick this as like one of the top constructed cards for the set. You think it's the best card in the set? It's pre-selling pretty high. Yeah, pre-sales are always inflated though. It's hard to look at that and be like, okay, well this card's gonna dominate Standard. And even with saying that it's gonna be like one of the better Standard cards or constructed cards, that doesn't mean that it's gonna, you know, be a 4 of in every deck or whatever. It is a 6-mana legend. Very powerful. Yeah, their Planeswalkers come in with half counters, you're coming with double the counters. We have Genesis Ultimatum in Standard. Yeah, if you Genesis Ultimatum this and a Planeswalker into play at the same time, I don't think it works, because they come into play at the same time.
Oh shit, what up?
But if you already have a Vorinclex in play, for sure. Hey, Harrison Bergeron, thanks for the sub, thanks for the 36 months there. Glad you're enjoying the full oral. Also super popular for Commander, right? And that's part of the inflated prices. You have this Mythic that's going to be nuts in Commander and constructed playable. Check out the alt art. Is it here? I think I saw it earlier. Yeah, this is the sort of card that like my eyes skim over when I first see it, and I'm like, oh, wall of text EDH card. I don't need to pay attention to that, but yeah, no. The more I think about it, the more I like it. The more it seems really, really good. Yeah, the rampy type strategies, even some mid-range strats are gonna want this, right? The questing beast beat you down. Constructed playable, definitely. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. This is the alt art. Yeah, it's pretty juicy. Some tasty alt art. I really like this border that they did for Kaldheim. It's really, really good. Very fitting. Why does the counters text matter? We've been talking about that. Your opponent's Planeswalkers come into play with half loyalty and gain half as much loyalty. You just come in with double. So you just get to like ult your Ugin immediately, that sort of thing. The counters text matters a lot, yeah. It doesn't just have to be 1/1 counters or whatever. It also nerfs your opponent's sagas and such. Nissa making 6/6s, right? Right? Yeah. Don't your opponent's Nisas, like, make 1/1s with a foreign Klex in play? This card might actually just be very good against opposing Nisas, too. Isn't there a creature land that gets counters on it? Yeah, the 4 mana, put 2 1/1 counters on your land. That card's solid, too. It doesn't see a ton of play, because you have to put a colorless mana. You have to put a colorless land into your deck, but it's super good. Gets a lot better with this, too, huh? Absolutely impacts sagas. Cool. I'm gonna take a quick break, refill my water. Foreign Klex is a hell of a card to end on, in the section on, but when we come back, we're going to dig into gold and colorless. And I haven't read a lot of these cards, so it might take me a bit.